I kept messing up. Over and over, I stumbled, fell, and failed. Failure after failure piled up, and it felt like I was stuck in a loop. But I learned something important. I had to teach myself how to handle failure. When I mess up, I can't let myself stay in that dark place for long. I've got to pick myself up and keep moving forward the very next day, no matter how hard it is. My dream was to become a Navy SEAL, a goal so big it consumed me. I didn't have time to sit around feeling sorry for myself for weeks, months, or years. That would just waste precious time I needed to chase my dream. The truth is, if you have big goals, big dreams, failure is part of the journey. It's not a question of if you'll fail. It's a question of how fast you get back up. You've got to train yourself to bounce back, to keep going no matter what knocks you down. The real key to success in anything you do is having an endless supply of drive and passion. It's that fire inside you that keeps you going when everything else tells you to quit. For me, that fire didn't come from some grand moment of inspiration. It came from nothing. I wasn't born with passion or drive handed to me on a plate. I had to dig deep to find this burning need to become somebody, to prove to myself that I could rise above my circumstances. That fire has to be there because on the tough days, the days when you wake up and feel like you can't do anything, you've got to be your own motivator. You've got to be your own coach, your own trainer, your own everything. No one else is going to push you forward when the world feels like it's crumbling around you. To make that happen, you've got to show up every single day ready to work. Whatever your work is, whether it's a job, a goal, or a personal mission, you've got to bring your all. Even if you failed miserably the day before, you walk in with your head high, ready to tackle the next challenge. People might look at you and say, "How are you so motivated after losing everything?" And the answer is simple, because that's what it takes. That's what it really takes to succeed. You've got to find that spark, that thing that lights you up, and hold on to it. Maybe it's a vision you create in your mind, a dream of who you want to be. Maybe it's a memory, a goal, or even something you make up to keep yourself going. Whatever it is, you keep it at the front of your mind, ready to pull out when the dark moments hit. Those moments will come, and you need to be prepared to face them. For me, I was always fired up. Every single day, I woke up with this energy, this need to keep pushing. In my mind, I was painting a masterpiece, and that masterpiece was me. I was building myself into the person I wanted to be, step by step, day by day. But to do that, I had to block out distractions. You can't create something great if you're constantly listening to the noise around you. Imagine an artist trying to paint their next big piece while everyone around them is shouting advice or criticism. They'd never finish. It's the same with your life. You've got to tune out the world and listen to what your mind and body are telling you. Your heart knows what you need to do next, but you have to give it space to speak. Most people don't do that. They don't spend enough time with themselves. They don't dig deep to find their passion, their drive, their determination. They're too busy following the crowd, trying to fit in, trying to be like everyone else. There are billions of people in this world, and each one is supposed to be unique and individual with their own path. But so many get lost in a pack mentality, doing what everyone else does, thinking what everyone else thinks. That's why they feel stuck, confused, like they're wandering without a map. You've got to break away from that. You've got to sit with yourself, face yourself, and ask, who am I? What do I want? What am I meant to do? When you do that, the answers start to come. They might not come all at once, but they'll come. I remember a time when I was running a race, a grueling 100-mile ultra marathon. I had 30 miles left to go, and my body was breaking down. The pain was unlike anything I'd ever felt. Every step felt like a battle, like my body was screaming at me to stop. My muscles ached, my joints burned, my mind was foggy. I could barely keep moving. But I found a way to push through those last 30 miles. I don't even know how to describe that pain to anyone. It was beyond words. My entire body was in agony from head to toe. When I finally crossed the finish line, I was dizzy, disoriented. I could barely climb the stairs to my house. I had to lean on someone just to make it up each step, and every few steps, I had to lie down because I felt like I was going to pass out. When I got inside, I collapsed on the kitchen floor, completely spent. Eventually, I made it to the bathroom and rolled into the tub. Someone turned on the water, and I just lay there, letting it wash over me. What came out of me was dark, like cola, a sign my body was in serious distress. I was shaking, trembling, in the worst pain of my entire life. But in that moment, all I could think about was what I just accomplished at 70 miles, when my body felt like it was done, when every part of me wanted to give up. I kept going for 30 more miles. To me, that seemed impossible, humanly impossible. But I did it. When the water hit me in that tub and the reality sank in that I'd just run 101 miles, those last 31 miles being the hardest thing I'd ever done, I was overwhelmed. Someone was saying, "We need to get you to a hospital." A doctor who knew my mom heard what I was going through and said I needed medical attention right away. But I stopped them. I said, "Just let me feel this. Don't take this pain away from me." I didn't want anything to numb it. Not yet. That pain was proof of what I'd overcome. I'd climbed a mental mountain, a wall so high it felt unreachable. And I didn't want anyone to take that victory from me. That pain was confirmation that I was becoming exactly who I was meant to be. I stopped following the crowd a long time ago. When I did try to fit in, I was just like everyone else, lost, pretending, hiding. But the moment I stopped and asked myself, "Who are you, David? Who are you supposed to be?" everything changed. It was like a floodgate opened. Answers poured in, ideas, goals, a vision of what my life could be. I realized I didn't want to be like anyone else, not even the people I admired most. I wanted to be me, my own person on my own path. Every day brought something new to face, a new challenge, a new piece of myself to discover. But I couldn't find that path by following someone else's footsteps. I had to forge my own. I started looking in what I call the accountability mirror. It's not a real mirror. It's the act of being brutally honest with yourself. When I looked in that mirror, I saw everything I was hiding. I saw the insecurities, the fears, the things I was ashamed of. I'd spent so long pretending to be someone I wasn't, just to fit in, to sit at the cool table, to get attention. I'd do anything to be noticed, to feel like I belonged. But that wasn't me. Deep down, I was scared to show the real me, the one who struggled, the one who didn't have it all together. In that mirror, I got real. I admitted things I'd never said out loud. I admitted I could barely read at a third grade level when I was a junior in high school. I cheated on every test, every assignment, because I was terrified of being found out. I was scared they'd put me in a special school, give me a label that would follow me forever. Being cool meant avoiding that at all costs. So I hid my struggles. I pretended to be something I wasn't. But I wasn't just hiding from others. I was hiding from myself. I was lazy. I wasn't working hard to fix my problems. I was taking shortcuts, cheating my way through, hoping no one would notice. That accountability mirror forced me to face it all. I didn't just call myself out. I got honest. I said, look at yourself. Man, you're not who you're pretending to be. And from that day forward, I made a promise to myself. Every day, I'd ask, what am I doing today to change what I see in this mirror? What am I doing to become the person I'm meant to be? That meant making tough choices. I stopped hanging out with the cool crowd. I tucked in my shirt and went to school looking like myself, not caring what anyone thought. I had to build thick skin, ready to take whatever names they called me, whatever judgments they threw my way. I had to be okay with being different, with being called a geek or anything else, because I was done pretending. I needed to change who I wasn't and become who I was. Over the years, I slipped up. I fell back into old habits. I got out of shape, lost focus, and let myself slide. But every time, I went back to that accountability mirror. I called myself out again. I was honest. I was out of shape. I was slacking. I wasn't living up to my potential. People don't like to do that. They don't want to admit their flaws. They'll say, don't call yourself out of shape. Don't call yourself uneducated. But if you're not honest about who you are, nothing will change. You can't grow if you're pretending everything's fine. You've got to face the truth, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Once I started being honest with myself, the answers came. I didn't need to follow anyone else's path. I didn't need to be like my heroes or anyone else. I just needed to be me. Every night, I'd sit with myself and paint a new picture in my mind. It was a picture of who I was becoming, who I wanted to be. It wasn't always clear, but it was mine. To everyone else, it might look ordinary, like I was just going through the motions. But the result was different. It was unique. That's why in 49 years, I've done more than most people do in a lifetime. Some people pick one thing, like being a race car driver, and that's their whole identity. They do it, they retire, and then they're lost. They don't know who they are anymore because they never took the time to dig deeper. I've done all sorts of things, followed all sorts of paths, because that's what mine told me to do. I listened to myself, not the world. When I stopped listening to the noise, when I cleared out the clutter in my head, the answers were right there. They'd been there all along, waiting for me to find them. But you can't find them if you're too busy following everyone else, chasing someone else's dream, or trying to fit in. You've got to stop. You've got to sit with yourself, face yourself, and ask the hard questions. Who are you? What do you want? What's your purpose? It's not easy. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. But it's the only way to find your path. It's the only way to become who you're meant to be. That race, those 100 miles, taught me something I'll never forget. It wasn't just about running. It was about proving to myself that I could do the impossible. It was about facing pain, fear, and doubt, and pushing through anyway. It was about climbing a mental wall that seemed too high, too wide, too impossible to overcome. But I did it. And every time I face a new challenge, I go back to that moment. I remember what it felt like to keep going when everything in me wanted to quit. I remember the pain, the struggle, the victory, and I use it to fuel me, to remind me that I'm capable of more than I think. Every day is a new chance to paint that masterpiece. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never failing. It's about showing up, being honest with yourself, and keeping going. It's about finding that fire inside you and never letting it go out. It's about listening to your heart, your mind, your soul, and following where they lead. The world will try to pull you in a million directions, but you've got to stay focused. You've got to stay true to yourself. That's what it takes to live a life that's yours. A life that's real, a life that's extraordinary.